Welcome to TheStreet.com TV. I'm Greg Greenberg from TheStreet.com. And today I'm joined by James Ryan. James is the president of Lenox Long Term Care. Long-term health care has become a very important issue in financial planning. It's also a very hot political topic in the presidential campaign. James is here to offer his thoughts on the subject. Welcome, James.
Great to be here, Greg.
All right, it's good to have you. How big a problem is it?
Well, you know what? Most people see it from their own point of view. Personal experience drives long-term care. And if I sit with someone, I ask them if they've ever experienced long-term care in their own family. And I'd say 9 out of 10 times people are going to say, you know what, we've gone through it, either with a parent, an in-law, grandparent. So, you know, if you ask your audience, have you gone through it? My guess would be that most people have had some kind of experience in their own family.
Okay, and what are people's options?
Well, long-term care is really, you know, what it comes down to is you have your own assets, you have a long-term care insurance policy, or really the only kind of government program out there is Medicaid. Going through your own assets or Medicaid are both pretty unattractive options for a lot of people. Hence, they look towards long-term care insurance to cover that need.
Okay, how expensive is it? Because obviously, what people are worried about is that their parents get older, they get sick, or they get older and they get sick, and they become bankrupted. So they work an entire lifetime, and a disease that they can't afford bankrupts them. They have nothing to leave to their heirs.
Right. Unfortunately, it's the risk that people haven't done a good job insuring against. When people hit their retirement, they need that year or two of care. It wrecks everything. You know, basically in the Northeast, you're looking at a problem anywhere from $80,000 to $120,000 a year. That average need, you look, the average person's going to need 2 or 3 years of care. For a couple, you can almost bet that one of them is going to need some kind of care.
Okay, so how much would it cost them to protect themselves against that bankruptcy, essentially?
You know, with most insurance, it's pennies on the dollar. When you start looking at it, you know, the average age of someone who takes out this policy and what does it cost? Most people look at it and they say, you know, that's pretty expensive, until they start looking at that risk. Right. That risk is that $100,000 a year cost. Any
political solutions? Obviously, you hear about Hillary's health plan. You hear about all the different political candidates, or they're stumping. They're going to give you the moon. But you know, what's the most attractive political solution?
Yeah, well, everybody's for long-term care insurance. There is no. It's a bipartisan issue because basically the states are being they're being bankrupted by that Medicaid growth. So what they look to,
they don't want the onus on them either.
Absolutely. So I mean, with Medicaid, we already have socialized long-term care. It's called Medicaid. We spend down our assets. We go where the state tells us to go. Basically, the politicians are begging people to buy long-term care insurance in the form of the tax code. States are providing a lot of tax credits. On the federal level, a lot of federal deductions.
So that must be good for a guy like you who's selling it or offering it. Now, which insurance companies do you offer, and how do you go about choosing them for the client? How do you make sure it's a good fit between your plan, the insurance provider, and your client?
Sure. Long-term care, you know, you start everything with the carrier because it's a very unproven product. So you do want to be with a carrier that does a lot of other things well. So we tend to look at the big carriers, companies like John Hancock, Genworth, MetLife, Mass Mutual, companies that we know do a good job on long-term care insurance, but we know they do a good job on a lot of other things, which are a lot more proven than this one coverage.
Okay, very interesting stuff, and it's something we'll be watching over the next few years as the presidential campaign heats up.
Certainly.
James Ryan, he's the president of Lenox Long Term Care. I'm Greg Greenberg for TheStreet.com TV. Please come back. Thanks a lot.
Hey, my pleasure.